This video is the first in a new series looking at the recently launched Sports IQ data and trading site. It is important to note that the site was developed in conjunction with trading the market and not by them, as some would have you believe. That is why TTM measures such as the magic number and relevance aren't included in the software. The guys at Trading the Market have already done a great job showing off the functionality, so we aren't going to repeat what they've done. Go give their video a watch if you want to see a quick overview of all the features. What we're going to do is look at the potential uses for it. This video will concentrate on the free area of the software. Yes, free. That might have got missed in all the noise surrounding this launch. Anyway, enough of that. Let's look at the software, just to prove that everything I'm showing you is free. If I attempt to go into anything which is premium, I will get a login screen. We'll cover the paid content in a future video. It is also worth saying that this time, as a mod of TTM, I do get access to this software for free. I'm not being paid by anyone to record this video. It is not affiliated to Sports IQ or TTM, and all views are my own. This is important in the interest of transparency. Without further ado, let's begin, and feel free to follow along. So we can see all upcoming games on the left. It is international week, so none of the big leagues are in operation. We'll pick a random game and analyse the data to see what we can make of it. We'll take the Sheffield Wednesday versus QPR under 21 game. This league normally gets a bit of volume and liquidity on Betfair. Clicking on this game immediately gives us stats in the right hand panel. This will allow us to form an opinion of what kind of game this is likely to be. Straight away it looks like there are goals expected. An average of 2 for Sheffield Wednesday and 2.27 for QPR. These are both season stats. In the last 8 games, every game had at least one goal, with 88% having at least 2 goals and 56% having at least 3 goals. 78% of games had a first half goal and 89% had a second half goal. We can also see that 21% of goals involving these teams come within the last 10 minutes. This is great information to keep in the back of your mind. We've quickly profiled this game in next to no time, but it still needs more research. Let's drill into the game. We've already seen the top stats on the previous screen, so we'll skip over those. The first thing to notice is the 2 dials in the centre. What do these mean? Goal sense is a calculation of a number of stats relating to this game. It measures the likelihood of goals in the game. The exact formula has not been disclosed, but as we've already mentally profiled this game and think goals are likely, the 82% seems to confirm this. The second half venue measure will be familiar to those of you who've used the TTM daily sheet. This is the percentage of games in the season where the home team have scored at home, added to the away team scoring away from home, and divided by 2 to give us the average. To summarise this, there's a high chance of a second half goal. What it doesn't tell us is how many goals at this point. It could be 1, it could be several, it could come in the 46th minute, it could come in the 94th minute. So looking at the goal data, you can focus on the lines that are important to you depending on the strategies that you work with. Looking at the last 8 games, it looks like Sheffield Wednesday are scoring the first goal more often than they have done all season, 63% against 52%. Also conveniently, QPR have been conceding the first goal more often than their seasonal average, 63% against 50%. Maybe an opportunity to back Sheffield Wednesday and close the trade if they take the lead. I'm not suggesting you do this, just outlining something that the data is telling you. Moving on to timings, we've already established that minutes 81 and 90 are where most goals are likely to be scored. We can now interrogate goal times in 5, 10, 15 and 45 minute segments to see if we can spot anything else that could help us out in profiting from this game. So we can determine that a quarter of the goals come between the 76th and 90th minute, and out of all the goals scored in the last 10 minutes, the 86th to the 90th minute seems to be the area where most goals are scored by these teams. Looking at the data by half, we've already established there's a very high chance of a second half goal because the dial tells us this. We can see that over 1.5 goals in the second half is 75% chance, and over 2.5 it drops down to 29%. Why is this information useful? If you were looking for a second half goal but are waiting 5 minutes to get in to allow the odds to move in the direction that you want them to. What do you do if a goal goes in after 48 minutes? In this case, you know there's a 75% chance of another goal. If 2 have gone in before you enter, however, you would stay away, as the stats show there's only a 29% chance of another goal. One more may come, but use the data to your advantage. You'll benefit long term. Form is something that is often overlooked. We can see that QPR averaged more points per game over the season than Sheffield Wednesday. We can also see from the last date that Sheffield Wednesday have averaged slightly more though, 1.63 against 1.5. This would lead you to think that they are in better form. Looking at the points per game of their opponents in the last 8 games, you can see that QPR have had harder games. Their opponents have averaged 1.47 points per game, whereas Sheffield Wednesday's only averaged 1.23 per game. This is shown in the bias. We can also see that Sheffield Wednesday have struggled at home with 1.33 points per game, whereas QPR averaged 1.75 points per game away from home. This may lead us to question our earlier decision to back Sheffield Wednesday in the first instance. Results does exactly what it says. It's worth checking though. Although we know what kind of form a team is in, it's always worth checking over their last few results. So Sheffield Wednesday have actually lost their last 2 home games, whereas Queen's Park Rangers in their last 2 away games have got a loss and a win. So just to confirm anything that we've thought looking at the stats previously, this screen just basically shows it in a more traditional way. So tables tells us so much. We can see that both teams are in the upper reaches of their respective divisions. Both are also in the top half of goals scored and next to each other in the table for defence. By the time this video is released, this game would have been played, so it would be interesting to see exactly what's happened. That is how to use data to profile an individual game. There are loads more stats you can use to your advantage to spot patterns or trends. We'll take the results tab and we'll select Liverpool, which will give us all of Liverpool's games for the current season. Now, just looking through this, it has given me the biggest wow moment in using the software, and that includes all of the paid for stuff as well. So when I was just looking through the data casually, something stood out to me, and that's the first goal scorer column. So Liverpool have failed to win a game where they've conceded the first goal in 8 out of their last 11 games, and we can see that quickly. So Manchester City scored first, it was a draw. Luton scored first and Liverpool actually won that one. Arsenal scored first, Liverpool lost. Moving further back, Arsenal scored first, Liverpool drew. Liverpool and Manchester United, there were no goals. Crystal Palace scored first, Liverpool won that one. Man City scored first and a draw. Luton scored first and a draw. Brighton scored first and a draw. Spurs scored first and Liverpool lost. And on the flip side of that, the only game that Liverpool have scored first in and didn't win was the first game of the season away at Chelsea. Every other time Liverpool have scored first, then they've gone on to win the game, as we can see quickly from the data and the green indicator next to the game. Just to prove it, there we go. While backtesting is a paid feature, you do have the ability to go back and check a historical game, looking at the data as it was before the game was played. If we pick Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 2, which beforehand I would have assumed most people would say that Newcastle would win this, we can see that over 3.5 goals was 53% and the venue average was 58%. The stats show that Newcastle tend to be the first team to score, whereas Bournemouth it's more 50-50 as to whether they score or concede the first goal. So you can check all aspects of the data to see what really happened and fine-tune your strategy, or confirm that what you predicted was actually a million miles away to what happened for this game. So Bournemouth actually took the lead in this game in the 51st minute. It would be nice if the software included this information on this screen, which is maybe one for future development, but we can check that out. If we go to the results tab and we'll search for Bournemouth, and there we go, Newcastle Bournemouth, and the Bournemouth goals are highlighted. So in the 51st minute Bournemouth took the lead, 58 minutes Newcastle equalised, 69 Bournemouth took the lead again, and in the 90th minute Newcastle equalised. So what I would suggest is have a play with this software. It's all free and you don't even need to create an account to use it. In the next video we'll take a look at the premium paid content and the additional features. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment and share so that we know to produce similar content in the future. Thank you for watching.